Okay, picture this. Your truck is rolling down I-80, the engine's humming, the tires are eating pavement, and you're literally making $0. 1 in 4 miles in trucking is literally hauling air. And if that doesn't punch you in the margins, nothing will. Today, we're fixing that. Okay, empty miles aren't just a nuisance. They're quietly bleed the fleets dry. And for context, Valley is an insurance agency focused specifically on trucking. But this isn't about insurance. This is about the silent killer in your operation that you can actually fix. Okay, the industry average, depending on who you ask, runs somewhere between 25 and 35% empty. That's the difference between a profitable year and a year where your accountant literally starts sweating. Let's break this down. Why only 1 in 4 miles is earning nothing? Think about a 50 truck fleet running 100,000 miles per year per truck. If 25% of those miles are completely empty, that's 1.25 million miles earning 0 revenue. At roughly $1.80 a mile in operating costs, you're lighting more than $2 million on fire every single year. No new trucks, no new drivers, nothing's changed, just waste. And it's not only fuel, it's maintenance, it's overtime, it's downtime, more exposure to accidents, and drivers losing time they could have spent making real money. And if that doesn't tell you empty miles matter, then let's look at the upside. How one carrier turned air into $1.2 million. Okay, a Midwest fleet plugged into a live freight matching network. 6 months later, empty miles dropped more than 28% to 12. They made $1.2 million more without expanding at all. That's the power of smarter planning and not just luck. Empty miles are not inevitable. They really aren't. A lot of carriers shrug off deadhead and say it's unavoidable. Well, that's wrong. When fleets track lanes and build tighter partnerships, empty miles collapse fast. The fleets winning right now aren't the biggest. They're the ones treating empty miles like a controllable cost and not fate. The playbook: how to cut empty miles fast. You don't need a massive overhaul. You need discipline and a clear plan. Here's how. First, join real freight matching networks. Not all load boards are equal. The ones with live verified freight, well, they're going to reduce deadhead because the gap between available and actually booked shrinks. Second, balance your lanes. If you have a profitable outbound lane and a terrible return lane, you don't have a profitable lane at all. You have a profitable half lane. Third, strengthen the shipper relationships. Backhauls get easier when you're not a stranger. Okay, fourth, reevaluate the weak lanes. If you always return empty from a specific market, change how you bid or void that origin entirely. Fifth, incentivize dispatch performance. The second the dispatch gets rewarded for low empty miles start dropping. Sixth, use predictive tools. Demand forecasting keeps you from getting blindsided in the soft markets. 3 signs your lanes are bleeding profits. 1, drivers always return empty from the same markets. 2, they only look at outbound rates, never round trip cost per mile. 3, dispatch scrambles daily instead of planning weekly. If any of these hit, your margins start slipping right through the cracks. Why fewer empty miles strengthen the entire business? Reducing empty miles doesn't just save money, it changes your entire operation. Lower cost per mile, more capacity without buying assets, more competitive bids perhaps, less exposure to accidents and claims, super important, lower emissions, which shippers are starting to care more about every quarter. Empty miles aren't necessarily a fuel problem. They are literally a strategy problem. You have a planning problem. You really do. Most fleets are going to blame the market, but the fleets with the lowest empty miles aren't in some magical region. They're the ones auditing the lanes weekly. They're not just winging it. And backhauls literally don't fall from the sky. They're being built. FAQ moment. This is rapid fire. What are empty miles? Miles driven, quite literally, without a load. Drivers getting paid, trucks burning fuel, while you are earning zero. Well, how often do they happen, you ask? Well, normal fleets see 20 to 35% empty. The best fleets run under the 15% mark. Why does this matter? Because those miles hit your cost per mile without raising your revenue per mile. Do smaller fleets get hit harder? Absolutely. They lack contracted freight and typically have fewer stable lanes. But in modern networks level, that playing field. How one dispatch saved $300,000 with one change. A dispatcher noticed drivers were deadheading 40 miles to grab a load every Tuesday. She found a closer shipper that paid slightly less per load, but cut the deadhead to only 8 miles. Over the year, that swap saved the fleet more than $300,000. This tiny adjustment was compounded over time. Okay, let's wrap this up. Every wasted mile is literally wasted money. Every loaded mile is therefore an opportunity. Fleets treat empty miles like a controllable cost that rises fast because their margins don't evaporate. Look at your lanes. Audit your empty lanes. Give dispatch the tools and therefore the responsibility. Build the partnerships that make backhauls predictable and not just rely on luck. This is one of the few operational wins you can grab fast, and the upside is massive. Use demand forecasting to stop deadhead before it even starts. Forecasting tools flag soft markets before you get stuck. Dispatch can reroute, reposition, or pre-book. One prediction beats 10 apologies to you and your driver. Thanks for watching. Take care.